First of all, the spirit of this agreement is so comprehensive. It is covering so many sectors. From information, from the traditional sectors of normally agriculture and mining are considered to be information technology to some extent, or considered to be traditional sectors. But this comprehensive agreement has moved away, apart from the traditional sectors, to expanding the horizon to so many sectors, like energy, for example, energy, renewable energy, hydrogen, electric vehicles are the future. Similarly, infrastructure. There is a huge spending in infrastructure in India and a huge spending in Australia. So, sports, and then you have manufacturing, smart manufacturing, professional services. Apart from manufacturing, India has got a lot of skills and abilities in services sector. How that can be useful to Australia. So if you look at this, it's quite comprehensive. And also the reason why it is comprehensive is because it is also addressed and removed many of the obstacles which has been there for the last 10 years or several years. And for example, in agribusiness, there have been some tariff issues. So if you see the Australian side of the response to that, it's all zero. I was just reading, I was amazed. It's going into pages and pages of zero tariffs. Similarly, India has also reduced from a considerable percentage to even 20 and 30%, much less. So that shows the people want to move, both the countries want to move ahead and address any issue which is a bottleneck. So that, and then identify new ways of utilizing the young Indian in the skills and manpower. I see this agreement is beyond politics of any country. To view that it's a replacement for China is the wrong analysis, in my personal view. And in fact, it is quite rightly reiterated in Honorable Peter Varghese, who is a former diplomat, and he was requested to do an India economic strategy in up to 2035. He has very clearly said India is not next China. Every country has got their own economic policies and implementation. The scale of the population and then in the priorities and things like the way in which they implement, the way in which this finalized agreements is different. India is for the world. It's not only for India. So that Prime Minister Modi's vision of making India an Atmanirbhar is not very good for India. People must understand. So that's why we should not attack, have any political angle to this agreement, or viewing this agreement, because this is beyond politics. There is an increased India awareness, and then there is every company, if they are interested in the growth, India is part of their growth. India is part of the company's growth. So if you look at purely from business to business point of view, B2B, apart from G to G, which is from government to government, they are doing in a bigger picture. But in reality, it is B2B. So that is where the good signs are. The Australian businesses, if you look at the scale of the Indian capability, to serve the Australian economy, that's fine. But to serve to the rest of the world, India is the source. So they will be using the manufacturing capabilities of India, the research capabilities of India. Some of the Australian technologies can be commercialized, produced in India for the world's advantage of the commercialization of the world. In fact, we did meet with one of the pharmaceutical companies who want to collaborate with Indian companies for globalization of the product. So there are so many, and we have other businesses. We have the steel, critical minerals is another area. There is a lot of scope. Australia has got plenty of lithium, which is used in storage batteries in the electric vehicles. Now, electrical vehicles are the future of India, are also future of Australia. Nobody can walk away from that. So if you look at all the synergies, what is happening, and the opportunities, hydrogen, so much is happening. And so this is what is giving me a feeling. These targets are achievable. It's good for both the countries. Um, People were preferring Canada till recently. Now people have to definitely think about Australia, because Australia is opening up with more than 11,000 courses, and there's so many universities they should consider. There are another big advantages apart from coming as a student. You can bring, if they have got a spouse, they can bring, and they can work together. They are allowed to work as well. And when they're studying here, and after a particular time, if they want to migrate to seek a permanent residency, there are pathways have been established by the government. So the main thing is to get them to Australia as a skilled migrant. So the government is now opened up the doors, and that is why it is going to create more employment, both in Australia and you're talking about employment opportunities in India. The reason why that will be happening is, imagine if all the big businesses of Australia consider India as a manufacturing base, India as a services base, to develop new technologies, to develop a new product. They need manpower. They cannot be depending on purely manpower of Australia. So that way, it will be a job creation for us, India, huge numbers. So that is the figure which they're talking about. That's only a notional figure, but you can see the real figure is going to be much more. If you see the last 1 year, I mean, from 2020, the first Prime Minister's virtual meeting happened because of the COVID. And then since, again, they met in person, and there are a couple of other informal meetings happened, and then now formal meetings happen with every minister of Australia, every minister of India, especially the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Dan Tehan. And in fact, he was saying that he went for only 15 minutes discussion, and then they finished up the whole agreement in 1 day. And all the officials were wondering what's happening. But they decided to finish the agreement, and they got obstacles removed. So when such a thing is happening, it is definitely a dramatic and historic moment and a watershed moment. So coming back to this point, the Indian companies, the awareness, the Australia awareness has to increase. So that is why in Australia-India Business Council, we have set up Australia-India Business Enterprise to facilitate B2B issues coming out on every agreement. So what we have done is we are equipped with ourselves with the legal experts and financial services experts, professional services experts, to facilitate B2B arrangement end to end. So many times the issues like intellectual property and the dispute resolution and some of these things. So all those issues can be resolved. Provided they are included in the contracts. So we are aware of all those situations. So that is why Australia-India Business Council, we have established, this is about 35-year-old organization. Is a non-profit organization. Primary objective is to facilitate trade between India and Australia. And there are other organizations also doing this, like Austrade, Department of Foreign Affairs, and then from India, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce. We were close partnering with them. And we have Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce in Chennai. And then, they're all our partners. And then in the agricultural business, we have partnered with Indian Pulses and Grains Associations. So if you see all these things, it's sky is the limit. And it is a question of our pursuing. It's a big piece of cake. Where do you cut and eat? That's the most important. And it is for the people of India to, decide when to start looking at Australia. But I can tell time is now. Start thinking about Australia now, and it will be a win-win situation for everyone.